Hello and welcome back to the One United podcast. I'm joined as ever by Henry. Henry, how you doing?
Yes, I'm fantastic. You?
Really looking forward to this weekend. And we're delighted to be joined for this episode by Usmaan. Usmaan, how you doing?
I'm good. Obviously, as we were saying prior, wishing it was better circumstances, but it is what it is. So let's see what the weekend brings, so to speak.
Yeah. Well, we'll get straight into it then. Obviously, it shouldn't be as big of a game as it is, but it is a huge game coming up. Everton versus Manchester United. Obviously, two teams that have started the season in completely contrasting form. Now, Henry, I'll come to you. How are you feeling for the game?
Not great. Truthfully, not very good at the moment. I know they're in a little bit of a rut as well, to be fair, but nothing like the situation we're in at the moment. So I don't hold any high hopes for this game. And as I was just saying before, I think I'd take anything other than like a 3-0 defeat. Because at this rate, it could end in disaster. Or to be fair, we could turn up and put in a good performance, but I just don't see it at the moment. So I'm worried, to say the least.
Yeah, I can see what you mean. I'm not really looking forward to it at all. Now, Usmaan, we're coming off the back of two defeats in a row to opposition that we'd like to think we could beat. Arsenal's a bit of a touchy one, but I think on our day we should be doing better than losing to them. Now, how are you feeling coming into the game?
Yeah, obviously, just to echo Henry's sentiment there, I'm not positive going into the game. I think, just to put into context, this time last week, we was off the back of an RB Leipzig 5-0 win. So it's, a lot has happened within 7 days. So I think we got to, put that into context as well, because we were going to the Arsenal game, discussing that. All the United fans are very excited, very positive going to that, and we know how that panned out. So the team just seems to surprise us. We don't actually know what's going to happen. We went to the Arsenal game expecting to win that. We went to Istanbul game expected to win that on the back of the Arsenal performance, and we lost both of them. So I'm expecting to lose. I'm not going to lie. I've seen pictures of James Rodriguez training as well just now before we come on, and that's never a pretty sign, given the fact that we're playing them. So knowing us, we'll probably win, because with that unpredictable, we'll probably end up putting a good performance in and win the game. So, but we'll have to wait and see, I guess.
Yeah, I think one thing that we do have going for us is our away form, generally speaking, has been pretty good. It's just our home form that's let us down. We've won a couple of away league games this season, beat PSG away, so that's the only real thing I'm looking forward to. But yeah, Henry, like Usmaan said, James Rodriguez training for Everton when a lot of people thought he'd be out. Now, do you see him as Everton's main danger man, or is there someone else that can really hurt us?
Well, yeah, of course. I mean, you can't look much further than him. He is a fantastic player, and any Premier League side, I think, will take him with his qualities that he's got. Obviously, you've got Calvert-Lewin, and I fear that depending on the centre-back partnership we put out there, he could bully either one of those centre-halves. I mean, Maguire's a bit of a wet when he's on his best day, so he could get bullied in that game by Calvert-Lewin. And yeah, they've got Alan in centre mid. He's a fantastic player again, sort of a Fred, but can actually pass. So yeah, I mean, they've got some quality talent, and if they're getting balls into the box, we're notoriously bad from either set pieces or just kind of concentration, really. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting one, but I'm a bit scared of some of their players.
Absolutely, they're not a team to be taken lightly anymore. That's for sure. Usmaan, I'll ask you the same question. Going into the game, who's Everton's main danger man, do you believe?
Yeah, well, obviously, James Rodriguez is the obvious one, pardon me, alongside Dominic Calvert-Lewin. I think Calvert-Lewin, for me, is going to be interesting to see, how he plays. Of course, they've struggled, as you mentioned, prior to coming on in the last two games. And I think a lot of that is down to the fact that Richarlison's not alongside him. Yeah, I know Calvert-Lewin just got in his last game eventually right at the end of the game, but he just seems to be missing Richarlison also, so that would be interesting to see who partners him. But in terms of danger man, you can't really look further than James and Dominic Calvert-Lewin. I think at the moment he's firing at all cylinders, so we need to make sure we do a job at him. I really hope Fred plays and it just sits in front of him, because obviously he's going to be the one who's going to cause this problem. So him and James Rodriguez, we can keep James Rodriguez quiet, then I reckon we've got a good chance of winning the game, to be honest.
I definitely hope so. Yeah. Now, Henry, we picked out Dominic Calvert-Lewin then as a danger man. Now, we mentioned before we went on, obviously the 4-1 defeat, 4-0 defeat, sorry, at Goodison Park in Ole's first sort of half year in charge, and Calvert-Lewin sort of ran the show that day as well. Now, who do we how do we sort of target that threat? Because we've not got a defence that's in the best of form, and he's obviously in absolutely electrifying form. So, what do we actually do to stop him, do you think?
What you get as tight as possible. As simple as that, really. We saw with I know it's a completely different player, but Demba Ba in the second half, we got really close to him, got really tight to him, pushed him around, clip him in the heels, give him a knee in the back and stuff like that. Just little things like that. And after a while, they won't want to know. So just get stuck in early, because if he gets the upper hand early, it'll be a mental battle as to who's going to come out on top. So I think that if he gets the upper hand and the upper hand early, it could be we could be in for a long, early afternoon. So I mean, just get close to him and get in his face. Don't allow him to have the headers, stick 2 players on him, and just maybe, I know I don't like McTominay, but maybe McTominay might be a good idea.
Perhaps. I think that the only positive I can take from it is obviously we've got that aerial presence in Maguire that could possibly keep him quiet up there, because that seems to be his main threat. But Usmaan, as a back four then, and you mentioned obviously Fred sitting in front of him as well. Yeah. What sort of personnel do we put out on that pitch to deal with him?
Well, to be honest, obviously he's been in fantastic form. I still think that we should be able to deal with him. I know that's, probably not our most popular opinion, given the way he's firing in our defences, but he's on current form. He's one of the best in the league, but I just don't think he's as good as people are making him out. Like, I just think he's in one of the purple patches. I think we can't deal with him. The problem for me is stopping the wide deliveries. I think Luke Shaw in particular, he's always at fault for not stopping the cross. Don't get me wrong, defensively he's okay, but we need to make sure we stop the deliveries into the box and the supply line. I think that's the most important thing. I feel like if it's a foot race, obviously he's gonna burn Maguire, so that'd be interesting. But we do need to put 2 centre backs close to him, as Henry's already said. You need to be touched by practically most parts of the game, and they've got to be focused more than anything. Prior to us getting absolutely hammered against Harry Kane recently, normally Harry Kane doesn't do well against us. Like, he doesn't really score, he doesn't offer much within the game. We played Spurs on numerous occasions, and Harry Kane's been irrelevant, and that's because we've stopped the supply line into him. We've been very tight to Harry Kane. So I feel like in that sense we need to do something similar against Dominic Calvert-Lewin. Is that going to happen? Probably not. He'd probably bag a hat-trick, and everyone would clip this and say, what were you talking about? So what were you saying? But realistically speaking, I feel like if the defenders are on job, they should be able to deal with them. They dealt with Mbappe and Neymar as well, without them even scoring against us. So I don't see why we can't deal with them if the players are actually focused for a change.
Well, just staying with you then, do you think Ole should divert back to the 3 at the back or 5 at the back formation still with Calvert-Lewin? So you've got those 2 centre-backs that are constantly picking him up?
Yeah, no, that's a very good question. I think, to be honest, that's the only way he can go, really. I can't see if he plays a 4-2-3-1, I'm honestly going to pull my hair out, because there's no way this defence can deal with Calvert-Lewin in a 4, because they're incapable in terms of focus. So they need to get that extra centre-back in there. I don't think Tellez is going to be available, is he? Because obviously he's had COVID. I know he's been in training today, but I'm assuming he's not available. I don't know if you've got any updates on that. I'm assuming he's probably going to be sat on the bench. So we can go 3 at the back, and obviously play Tuanzebe, Maguire, and Lindelof. I think that would definitely nullify him, because 2v1, he's going to struggle, isn't he, really? Yeah,
absolutely, especially with Maguire's lack of pace. Now, Henry, obviously against Istanbul Başakşehir, I assume that's how you pronounce the name, but Tuanzebe was back in the starting 11, and he didn't exactly have the best of games. Now, would you start him against Everton just to try and get that form back with him, or do you think you just give him a bit of a rest? Because I can't imagine his confidence is in the best of places right now.
I think you have to start him, to be fair. This is I know it's a bold claim, but I think you have to start him, because I just don't trust Lindelof and Maguire as a partnership. I really don't. There's something about it. The lack of pace is the one thing that does me. And if you're up against Calvert-Lewin, and you're in trouble then. If he's gonna, if he gets in behind, you're in trouble, because Both of them are quite slow. So Tuanzebe, we saw almost outpaced Mbappe at one stage in the PSG game. So yeah, you surely go for that.
You'd like to hope so, definitely. Moving forward, then we'll go with the starting 11 that you want to see. Then I'll come back to you first, Henry. So, we'll go for goalkeeper and back 4 or 5 first. Who are you going for?
Well, De Gea. I think Henderson. Yeah, I wasn't sure about him against Besiktas, to be fair. I think you go with Tuanzebe and Maguire, probably. Actually, no, Tuanzebe and Lindelof, sod it, why not? Then right back, Wan-Bissaka, and left back. I don't think Telles will be in the squad. He might be on the bench, but I don't think he'll be starting, so it'll probably be Shaw. So, yeah, that's my kind of back line.
Usmaan, I'll come to you then. Obviously, by the sounds of it, you want to go with the back 5. Who's your goalkeeper and back 5 going to be then?
Yeah, I'm going to put De Gea back in there. Obviously, Henderson, Pollard, coming in for one of the worst Champions League defeats in our history. Right wing back, Wan-Bissaka. To be fair, actually, you could potentially put Williams there, if now I think about it, and put Wan-Bissaka in defence. Right, so, no, I'll do that. Why not? Actually, I'll put Williams right wing back, Wan-Bissaka right centre back, Maguire obviously sitting, and then Tuanzebe. I don't think this will happen, but it's just what I would do. To be honest, if it was up to me, Maguire would 100% not be playing this game, but there's no chance that's happening. Anyways, left wing back, I'm going to go for Luke Shaw because sadly Telles is not available, I don't think, because he's just had COVID. He's probably going to be on the bench, isn't he?
Yeah, he's not looking too fit so far. Now, Henry, moving forward, who are you gonna put in midfield? Well, what formation are you going to go with to start off with? Sorry.
Diamond in midfield. I don't think you can go with anything else. 4-2-3-1. If you go with 4-2-3-1, I'm turning the TV off. I'm not joking. That is just bullshit.
Hey,
it does not work. It's simple as that. It doesn't work. I know why we keep trying it. It's pointless. Rashford and Greenwood as wingers. Oh, that's a great idea, isn't it? They're both strikers. Great idea. Put them on the wing. So I think you've got to go with a diamond. I would go with. Oh God, this is a tough one. Probably Matic holding, and then Fred on the right, Pogba on the left, and you know what, Van der Beek, Cam. Why not? Fernandes, I think I've been a bit kind of critical of the last couple of games. He's been a bit here and there last couple of games. I would start Van der Beek. Why not? He had I thought he played well against Besiktas, to be fair. He had good passing accuracy between the lines, was fantastic. Or you play all three. But I think that's the midfield you got to go with.
Usmaan, what do you reckon then? Obviously, he's decided to drop Fernandes. Would you agree with him?
100% agree. 100%. We were saying on the podcast yesterday, and I raised the point regarding Bruno. I just think he needs to be sat on the bench because, at the end of the day, if you don't put in a performance, you shouldn't be warranted to start the next game. And his performance against Istanbul was nothing short of disgraceful. He's lost the ball 34 times. A lot of people will say, he loses the ball regularly. But at the end of the day, it's Istanbul. You're not playing against one of the best pressing teams in the world, with all due respect to them after they beat us. But he just can't put in that level of performance and retain his place. The same with Maguire. I don't think Maguire should be starting either. I think he should take the captaincy off as well. It should be Lindelof and Tuanzebe. I would go for a similar team that beat PSG, actually. But obviously, Ole's never going to do that. But yeah, coming back to Bruno, he shouldn't start for me. I've gone for Fred in the DM, who was absolutely sensational in our game, a win against RB Leipzig. Literally, as Ali said in his own words, covered every blade of grass. For some reason, he didn't play DM the game after. Alongside him, this is not going to be a popular opinion, but I'm going to go for Paul Pogba again. I thought it was absolutely brilliant against RB Leipzig. He was pressing, showed tenacity, intensity to win the ball back. Again, not a popular opinion, but it is what it is. And then in front of him, it has to be Van der Beek. Was probably our only good outfield player against Istanbul, alongside maybe Shaw, and somehow got taken off. So Van der Beek for me in the number 10, Pogba, Fred and Van der Beek in midfield 3, hit RB Leipzig for 5. So I think we just need to put them 3 together and see what happens.
I think just staying with that then, obviously, but a lot of people will find it controversial that you've said Paul Pogba should be starting, but I'm sort of agreeing with you in the fact that I think if you give him a run of games, I think at some point he's going to eventually come good. He's got the ability to, and when he does have that game, I think his confidence will be back. And he seems to me like a very, very much a confidence-based player, where his performances are based on how he feels. Now, would you agree with that?
I think most players are confidence-based players, to be quite frankly honest with you. I know someone's going to say, well, he's had 5 years to, he's had a run of games and he's not doing it. I think this whole Pogba notion, he's just getting lambasted. For sometimes, against Arsenal, for example, he deserved the criticism, I'm not denying that. But it's not always Pogba's fault, you know what I mean? And I think his ability to play the ball in behind to my 2 strikers is going to be pivotal. And like I've already said, it was Pogba, Van de Beek, and Fred together in the midfield 3 that beat RB Leipzig alongside McTominay. And for me personally, it makes sense. Bruno has to earn his straps as well as every other player does. We've got enough quality on the bench to rotate them, and I don't want to see McTominay and Matic play this game because I don't think Matic deserves to after losing a foot race to Demba Ba. If anything, he should get docked his wages because that was the worst defending I've ever seen in my life. And McTominay, to be fair to him, he doesn't need to play this game either.
No, not at all. No, I'm a big advocate for Nemanja Matic, but even I was ashamed of what I saw of him against Istanbul. Now, moving on, Henry, your 2 strikers, who are you going for there?
Is Martial back?
Yeah,
he is.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I think it's pretty basic then, isn't it? Rashford and Martial. I mean, you can't go with anyone else. Yeah. I mean, Greenwood. I just don't think. A part of me thinks that he doesn't quite suit. I mean, when there was no hold-up play, that was one thing that frustrated me against Arsenal. Terrible. No hold-up play. And yeah, I think you've got to go with those 2. One thing I will mention I know you mentioned Pogba earlier. Who's blaming him now for the Besiktas game?
Oh, it's Paul Scholes. We're still blaming him, don't worry.
Who can blame someone that came on for half an hour? How can you do that? He's such a target, and then everyone that's watching the game thinking, oh, he's not starting, we're playing really badly. Oh, so it isn't his fault. Yeah, stop targeting him. Stop targeting him. He'll want out soon, and then he'll go to a different club, play 10 times better, win trophies with them, and we'll look like mugs. Simple as that.
See, in a way, I sort of want that to happen because I like him so much as a player. 100%. I think he deserves the trophies that he's bound to win if he goes anywhere else. I do think, as much as he's not performed in the United shirt, I do think there's a large sort of proportion of it that's been us holding him back.
We failed it. We failed it.
Yeah, Mourinho brought him in and then didn't play to his strengths and all stuff like that.
We promised him a team. We promised him a good team, a title-winning side to build around him, and we didn't give it to him. Simple as that. I hope he goes somewhere else personally because I think he'd do better. I think his career is being wasted at United, although it pains me to say it. I think he's a fantastic player. I think his career is being wasted. If he goes somewhere else, he'll win trophies. We'll look like mugs. And all the fans that have been targeting him for these last 2 years can go and shove it up their arse.
You tell him. You tell him.
It's true, isn't it? And it will happen. It's so frustrating to see people targeting one player when he doesn't even play. How can you target someone that doesn't even, when he's dropped, we play poorly. Oh, who do we blame now? Oh, I don't know who we can blame. Yeah, exactly. He's the only target that we can pick on. And then, when he's playing badly, it's he's had bad haircuts. When Maguire plays badly, look after his mental health. Yeah. The start of the podcast, yeah.
Fair enough. Usmaan, moving forward then, your front 2.
Yeah, no, I don't think I can disagree with what Henry said. But just to add on Pogba, I forgot to mention that he needs to play because of Decore, just to, the physicality, the matchup there. I can't imagine if it's Bruno, Van der Beek and Fred dealing with Decore. I just think he's going to bully them. He's done well against us in the past as well, so it'll be interesting to see what Ali does in that sense. But front 2, I just the point I want to make on that is Greenwood and Rashford just doesn't work for obvious reason because they both can't hold the ball up. Rashford with his back to goal is absolutely shocking. He's so bad with his back to goal. He has to run him behind. So I think that's why him and Martial work because, Martial comes and collects the ball and he does all the dirty work while Rashford, tries to play off him. And I think it's little and large without Martial being large, if that makes sense. So, yeah, I think Cavani or Martial, one of them 2 have to play. And I think alongside him, it has to be Greenwood or Rashford. And the 2 I've picked is Martial and, of course, Marcus Rashford. I think they need to stay tight together. I think, pardon me, the last couple of games, they've just been too far apart. And that's been the issue against Istanbul. Rashford had next to no impact in that game. He was too far away from Martial. They couldn't link up. And it just seemed like they were just playing two separate games, and we can't be doing that. They need to be playing closer together and obviously actually acting like a strong partnership rather than two separate players in one team.
It's a good shout. It's a good shout. Now, I'll bring up a comment that we got from John, who's saying it promised him a team, spent 250 million on players, and still need more to get the best out of him, which I think is a fair comment. But I think I'll hand it over to you in a second. But I think from my point of view, yes, we spent 250 million on players, but it's not been a 250 million pounds spent well, has it? At all.
Well, 80 million on Maguire, so
yeah, exactly.
80 million on a walking fridge and 50 million on someone who can't cross. That is literally what it is. You spent 130 million on players that are inept. Wan-Bissaka is fine. You're going backwards. You can tackle someone. Fantastic. He can't cross the ball though, can he? He tries the same skill every time to beat a man. It's we'll drag it back and then we'll try and beat a man and cross it in. No aim, no nothing. Just whack it. And then you got Maguire that can't run and is out of position every time that he's defending. So honestly, that's my simple response to that. 130 million of that has been spent on wasted players. Wan-Bissaka maybe will come good, but Maguire at the moment, God, he should be dropped. So, I mean, that's my simple answer.
Usmaan, do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, no, I do hear the point, 250 million, and obviously this notion we're trying to unlock Paul Pogba still. I think there's a lot of different factors towards that. You've got to look at the manager first and foremost. And I think I'm so happy that the RB Leipzig game happened, because that performance from Pogba in particular, and obviously Martial, is everything good about them as players. You saw the way they were linking up. And if you don't remember, please just go watch the highlights. The way Martial and Pogba were linking up that game was absolutely beautiful. It was second nature. They were bossing the game. They were pressing as well. Martial had the most presses. I think it was 20 times he initiated the press. The person in second was Paul Pogba. You never thought you'd be saying that. Pogba and Martial, the two branded lazy players, initiating the press 39 times within one game. He's shown what he can do. Like, don't get me wrong, he's not been great for Man United. And I do think a lot of that is down to the manager, the system, the personnel around him. Of course, Pogba has to take responsibility. He's meant to be the World Cup winner. He's meant to be the World Cup player. He has to do more as well. However, you can't tell me that the players around him haven't been consistently inconsistent throughout his tenure or his stay at Manchester United. It's been an absolute shit show. If you actually look through the 5 years, he's had Jose for 2.5. He's had Ole for 2. Going into 2.5 as well. There's never been any consistency. And I know a lot of people are going to say, and obviously John said here, obviously his talent is not up for sort of question. And I don't think it ever was up for question. I just think it's not about unlocking Paul Pogba. It's about unlocking the team. It's about, Pogba is one cog within the team, and you need everybody. It's 11 players on the pitch. Look, the perfect example is Messi for Argentina. You're going to tell me Messi's a bad player? Messi's not a bad player. Argentina team is an absolute joke. They've got no system. They've got no tactics. They've got no manager. Like, Messi's been carrying that team. A lot of people are scrutinizing Messi for what he's done on international level. Well, if you actually look at the stats, he was the only person to score in their last sort of competition. And they've got players like Di Maria and Aguero. The players aren't even doing anything, and they're not getting any criticism. And it's the same for Pogba. He's taking the brunt of the criticism, which for me personally, it needs to be banded out to everyone. And that's the best way I can really explain the situation. You won't call Messi a bad player. It's the system at Argentina is not working. And you've got to look at the managers. They're not doing their job. End of the day, Jose was in to win the league. Did he even get close? You could argue once. Apart from that, we wasn't even remotely a good team under Jose. And same for Ole. No consistency with players, selection, formation, tactics. You could be a good player, but if you're not in the right system, you're not going to shine. It's as simple as that.
Don't think I could have put it better myself there. It was meant now, just to sort of round off the segment, we like to do in our previews, let's do a little score prediction and first goal scorer. So I'll come to you first, Henry. What's your score prediction and first goal scorer?
Ever so quickly about Jose. I know you mentioned Jose and how he performed so poorly. If they win against West Brom, I know it'll only be temporarily potentially, but they'll go top of the league. And that's because they've given him the players he wanted. So that's all I can say to that. He is a great manager, and we shafted him basically, gave him a load of crap, and expected him to win trophies, and he won trophies, and yet they bought Delo and Grant in his final season. So yeah, exactly. So people can't really moan at Jose, and I heard them saying finish manager, blah blah blah. I think they might have a chance of winning the league this year. So that'll be a nice slap in the face for everyone that's called him a Finnish manager. And yeah, as far as first goal scorer goes, Calvert-Lewin, because I seriously don't think we're going to cope with him. I don't see it. I know we say get tight to him, blah blah. What Ollie's like, he'll probably be like, go and have fun, guys, and we'll go and lose 4-0. So,
Wow.
and then you say final score prediction, James?
Yeah.
I literally don't know. We could draw 1-1 and come away with a really good point, or we could lose 8-0. I really don't know. And we expect a reaction after the Arsenal game. In the Bajakshir game, go and win 3 or 4-0, make a statement in the group, and but the performance was just non-existent. So, and with our defending, if we defend like that again from a corner, we are going to be in big trouble this year. We'll be relegation areas. So, yeah, I don't hold any high hopes.
Fair enough. Usmaan, over to you. First goal scorer and then final score.
I think what I will add actually, and I think a lot of people need to take this into consideration, is that it's Arsenal set up very defensively, but presses very well also. Arsenal very well defensively, unit in terms of the ability to defend. But just coming to Istanbul, similar to them, the part of the bus kind of. We struggle against teams with a low block. Everton are not going to play a low block against us. Ancelotti, fantastic manager, has done a brilliant job there. But in saying that, there are going to be spaces for us to exploit, especially on the break. We've seen against teams, even against PSG to an extent, teams that allow us space, we punish them, regardless of how poorly we are playing or how good we may be. We tend to do well against these kind of teams. And I feel defensively, yes, they've got Digne is back, if I'm not mistaken. I think his ban got rescinded. And I think Coleman will be playing. Huge fan of both of them too. But the centre-backs, Keane, not a fan of his. I don't think he's that good, although he probably scored past us now. And Yerry Mina, again, he's not that good either. So I think we can definitely get at them. So I'm going to be positive, although I probably have no right to be. I'm going to say Martial scores first. He loves the goal against Everton. And I'm going to say we win 2-1, which is probably the most unpopular score prediction. But no, I'm just going to be positive and hopefully the boys, prove us all wrong.
James?
Sorry, I was on mute there. Just to stay on what you were saying, obviously they will come out and attack us. It's not going to be a low block deployed. Do you think defensively we'll have what it takes to keep them out? Because it's all well and good us hitting them on the counter, but if they're scoring with every attack they're having, then there's not really much we can do about that.
Yeah, that's a good question. For me personally, if it resolves back to 3 at the back, I think they're going to struggle to break us down. Just because of the amount of cover we'll have there. Knowing us, we'll probably have all 5 people back. Rather than it being a 3-5-2, it'll be a 5-3-2 for most parts of the game. I do think they'll score. I do think Calvert-Lewin will score. I don't think there's any denying that. James Rodriguez has also got a bit, brilliant ability with his deliveries from wide areas or just in general from set pieces. So I would not be surprised if they score from a set piece. Because as you've already mentioned, defensively from set pieces, we can be suspect because a lot of our players just tend to switch off a lot of the time. So that might be something that they may target as well. But I don't think they're that good, Everton. Like the last 2 games, they've not been good. And I know it's easy to say that because they've not been good in the last 2 games, but what about the previous games? I just think defensively, they're not a great team. I know we're not either, but you can't tell me we haven't got enough problems with the team that I mentioned, for example, to not cause them problems. At the end of the day, we need to... We either react or we get sacked. That's how I feel at the moment. Obviously, we are going to touch upon Ollie's sort of situation shortly, but I think the players are either going to have a reaction or we're going to get absolutely hammered and they're going to down tools. I don't think there's going to be an in-between. I can't see us drawing the game, 1-1, anything like that. I think we're either going to win or we're going to lose because it's either whether the players want to play for Ollie here. I think it's actually very similar to, I don't know if you remember when Jose Mourinho looked like he was going to get sacked and it was that game against Newcastle. The night before Newcastle, and we all thought if he loses this game, he's going to get sacked. And Pogba and Martial saved him in terms of his job, and then obviously he carried on. I think that's what's going to happen. I've got a feeling we're going to win this game. Obviously, come after the international break, we'll probably beat West Brom, and Southampton, then we lose to West Ham or something, and then everyone will be back on Ole out. So that's how I feel like it's going to pan out, to be honest.
Fair enough. I can't help but disagree with you. I'm going to go with Alex Iwobi first goal. Just throw the boat out there, because if it comes off, I'm going to look like an absolute genius.
If Iwobi scores, the amount of banter we get from Arsenal fans, oh my God, if you've not had enough already, but yeah.
Honestly, but yeah, I'm going to go 3-2 final score to United. I think we'll concede a lot, but I think we'll get them on the counter attack a few times.
The only way we win this game is if Pickford does what he does best and throws it.
Pickford's fit apparently, which is a massive boost for us. So.
That's fantastic for us. You hit any long range shot at him, and he's.
That's what I'm saying. Martial finesse, top corner, you hit it from us, cutting in, top bins, say no more.
So
fair enough.
It's going to be a mad game. It's going to be a mad game, and this is make or break for Solskjaer. Yeah, this is make or break. If we get battered here, he's got to walk. If he doesn't get sacked, he's got to walk. Sure. No, he won't walk. He won't walk because this is the best job he's ever going to get. So.
Yeah, but I think the fans will respect him a lot more. I was saying it yesterday on our show. Like, if he was to walk, yeah, granted, I don't think he'll do it, but at least he'll go out with a bit of dignity and his legacy will still be intact. Because if he continues this on, we've got easier games against West Brom. I know Southampton will cause us problems as they've done in the past.
West Brom will cause us problems.
They will. But what I'm saying is the perfect opportunity for a new manager to come in against favourite fixtures, so to be. And we've got Istanbul in the Champions League. So realistically speaking, if he doesn't get sacked after this game, he could quite easily go on a run of 4 wins and then he'll be back to square one in terms of the merry-go-round of should he get sacked or not.
Poch is waiting for a phone call. He is waiting for a phone call. Ed Woodward, he won't watch this, but I don't care. Pick up that phone and call him and get him in, because I'm tired of going round in circles every week. 1 week we're really happy and praising performance, good performance against Leipzig, and then the next week we lose to fucking someone who's 7th in Turkey. How can they've got a 35-year-old striker and he has outpaced 2 of our players?
35-year-old centre back as well. So
let's go.
Oh God, shambles.
Yeah. Well, moving on then, as we were just talking about, obviously there's a lot of speculation over Ole's job. Now, me and Henry have spoke about this a lot over the last week or so, but we're really interested to get your opinions on the matter, Usmaan. Now, first of all, do you think he should be sacked? I'll throw that out
there. Well, as it currently stands, absolutely. To be honest, I only just turned Ole out after the 6-1 loss, actually. So I've been defending him on social media, on our platform, for the longest time. So it's not like, I want him to get sacked. In terms of, I would love it if he proved us wrong. I would love it if he turned it around. But just how can you lose this time, ball? Like, honestly, I didn't even contemplate us losing this game. I didn't see one person on social media saying if you lose this to Istanbul, you should get sacked. Everyone was saying if you lose this to Everton, you should get sacked. Nobody even contemplated us losing to them. So I just honestly, it's just that game in general. It looked like he was just lost for ideas. The system was an absolute joke. Defensively, I can't even get over that goal. That Demba Varga is the worst bit of defending I've ever seen in my life. Like, genuinely, how can we have no defender, right, on the halfway line in the first 12 minutes of the game, and there's no one there? Surely Ole on the touchline, or Ole should be on the touchline shouting at Matic, saying, "What are you doing? Get onto Demba." Like, do you know what I mean? Just things like that. It's just, he's on the iPad. Someone said on my show, like, he's just too busy playing Candy Crush or something on the iPad constantly. So I personally think he should get sacked, because we still can salvage the season. As Henry just said, we've got Poch waiting in the wings. Personally, he's not my first choice, but nonetheless, I think he will do a fantastic job at the club, and he ticks the box for Glazers as well. So yeah, I do think he needs to get sacked, even if he wins against Everton. For me personally, I would sack him regardless if he wins or loses, but I don't think that will happen.
Well, you said Poch wasn't your first choice. Then who are you going for as your first choice?
Yeah, well, obviously it's not the people that were my first choice. They're not gonna come, basically, because I wanted Luis Enrique. Obviously, he's in Spain at the moment doing the international job. He's the manager I wanted. I think in terms of philosophy, Barcelona philosophy, you can't actually get better than that. And a lot of people would have said we wanted Pep, etc. This guy was absolutely phenomenal at Barcelona. The football, the brand. He's a classy guy. I think the way he carries himself is absolutely fantastic. And you've seen the resurrection at Spain as well since he's been there also. I think he's a brilliant manager. I don't think a lot of people are even contemplating it. The other two people would have been Ancelotti, actually. I wanted Ancelotti before he went to Everton. I cannot believe that our club overlooked somebody that's won everything everywhere. It's an absolute joke, honestly. But the other one is Nagelsmann, who came to Old Trafford and had an absolute nightmare. So I'd probably go for them. Well, we're not going to get two of them. So, or three of them, really, because they're all in the job. So I think Pochettino, out of what's available, is the best option at the moment.
Then, do you think, obviously, if, providing we lose against Everton, which I can't say is looking unlikely, do you think this is probably the ideal chance to sack him? Get
100%,
someone
110%.
get someone like Poch in, and he's got the 2-week span over the international break that's coming up to really get himself settled.
Well, in the scenario that you've mentioned, if we lose to Everton tomorrow and he does not get sacked, honestly, I want to see, before everyone's shouting Ole out, and imagine he doesn't get sacked, right? I want to see everyone on Woodward and the Bulls' neck, because they are just taking the piss out of the fans, to be quite frankly honest with you. A lot of people say Ole out, and I will be one of them. But I think we know Ole needs to leave. I think that's inevitable. But how is this board getting away with absolute murder? I had a rant with some of my mates that support rival teams, and even they what is your board doing? I just don't understand. Pochettino is available. He takes everything in terms of United DNA. He plays attacking football. He presses. He'll get the players running. He brings that youth. He ticks the Glazers box in terms of do what they want without spending a lot of money. So in that sense, I won't be happy. But nevertheless, he ticks most boxes. Is he an upgrade on Ole Gunnar Solskjaer? Of course, he's an upgrade on Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. For me personally, this is a perfect time, as you've already mentioned. He's got enough time to settle in, get himself settled into the room, get his backroom staff in. And also, as I've already mentioned, we've got a very favoured run of games. We'll have West Brom followed by Istanbul, 2 very easy games for Pochettino in terms of on paper. I know we'll have a manager bounce probably anyways. Then we've got a slightly tricky game with Southampton, West Ham, followed by Aston Villa, I think, if I'm not wrong. So in terms of, the fixtures he can have, he needs to come in now, because after those games I've mentioned, we've got Man City, then Wolves, then Leicester. So we need to get someone in earlier, right? Because I think if he doesn't get sacked, he's going to beat West Brom, he's going to beat Istanbul, and then we'll potentially draw to Southampton and lose to West Ham. And then we've got Man City. You don't want Poch to come in against Man City first game, do you? So they have to do it now, really. Just we can salvage the season for me, so I don't see why they'd waste more time.
Absolutely. I'll come to you, Henry. Obviously, we were saying in the last episode that we're not really sure how Ole takes this side forward from here. Now, we'll talk about a similar thing to what Usmaan was talking about. But first of all, do you think if we lose this game and Ole keeps his job, do you think that's just sort of damned the rest of our season for failure?
Oh yeah, 100%. I mean, this. I've been saying this for months, and I keep going over it. I've been saying it for months. He is not good enough. I know people defended him for X amount of time. I've said from the get-go, I don't think he's tactically a good enough manager. I don't think he is. He doesn't fill me with confidence with the games that we've played this season, and even towards the end of last season. I know we won a load of games. Didn't fill me with confidence. We won them through penalties and kind of lucky decisions. So, yeah, I mean, if we lose this game and he keeps his job, we're fucked. We're fucked. There's no other way of putting it. We're done. We might as well just, everyone might as well just hang up their boots and just call it quits, because we're done. We're finished. We can't go on with a manager that failed. He's failed everywhere he's been. That's what people don't realise. The guy's been, he's a rookie manager. He's been managing for 10 years. Failed at Cardiff. Got them relegated. Tried to play really good football, and that didn't work well, did it? Even though they were counter-attacking, they still couldn't, get through teams. So just do it now. Stop wasting time. It's pointless. It's boring. I know we gave him a 3-year bloody contract as we give to everyone else. We're the new Newcastle giving people 7-year contracts. So I don't understand how he's still there, But every single time he's in trouble, the players either get a lucky penalty and it saves his job, and everyone goes, "Oh, he's a great tactical manager again." But why do people chop and change every week? Keep consistent. keep consistent with what you're saying. And you know, if someone says to me one week he's a fantastic tactical manager because you know we beat Leipzig, fair enough, good game, but they were open again. And then they're going, oh, he's a rubbish manager. We lost to Istanbul. The reality is he's just not a very good manager, and he got lucky in the Leipzig game. I think that's how it is. They played really poorly. We played quite well. So, yeah, I mean, if they don't sack him, if we lose on Saturday, then Ed Woodward has just bent us over and given us God's glory straight in our arse.
Can't disagree with you at all. Now, Usmaan, before we end, you got anything else to add?
Yeah, no. I just think with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, on his day he can't beat anyone, as he's shown. I just think it's a consistency, to be honest. You know, to be an elite manager, you know, a manager at the club of Manchester United, you need to have consistency. You know, look, don't get me wrong, I'm not expecting to beat RB Leipzig and then beat Arsenal and then beat Man City, then beat like back to back. Of course, you know, you've got to be realistic as well. But in saying that, you know, you've got to have some flexibility in your tactics in terms of in-game management. He's never really possessed that. And also, it's just, we can't put a run together. So, like, I just don't understand how he can stay. Like, we'll win 3-4 games and then we'll lose one. It's like, we've never gone like 10 games, 20 games, like, consistently, like, for more than one period in his tenure. So, for that reason, he has to go regardless. I don't even care what the result is. Hopefully, he wins and gets sacked. I don't think that will happen, but for me, that'd be best case scenario. In terms of, just to add things, I don't think we got lucky against RB Leipzig, actually. I do disagree with you. I think it was actually a tactical masterclass from Ole. I thought it was absolutely fantastic. He actually got the players to press and play with intensity, which is something I've not seen us do under Ole, really, minus when he first came in. And that's the most frustrating thing. Like, you finally stumble across something that works, a diamond with all the players pressing, and Fred playing it in DM, and then McTominay playing Fred playing right centre mid, and McTominay playing DM. And then the game after against Arsenal, you play the same formation, you change the personnel from the team that won, and then you don't play the same tactics. It's like, that's why he's pissing me off. Just do what worked. Like, if you did the same as what you did against RB Leipzig, against Arsenal, we would have had way more joy in that game. But
Usmaan, don't you think that part of that game, the Leipzig game, was down to how awfully they played? You saw Nagelsmann on the touchline, and he looked mortified. He looked like he wanted to jump off a bridge.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying, but I actually don't think they played that bad. I think that if you actually look at the first half, the first 25 minutes where we scored, obviously we scored in that period. After that, they were brilliant. They forced us into errors. They consistently pressed us high up the pitch, and they made it difficult for us to get the second goal. And then obviously the second half, the substitutes made the difference. I do think they were poor towards the end of the game. Of course they were. I don't know why their heads dropped in the manner in which they did, and then we capitalised on that. But prior to that, the first half, I think it was a brilliant tactical battle from both managers. I thought they pressed us very well. But if you actually look back at the game, we beat the press, you know, fantastically well in terms of the way we were distributing the ball, and a lot of that was down to Pogba and Van de Beek. They were very neat and tidy on the ball. Fred was winning the bag. So I think you got to give credit to the players and the manager for that game. For me personally, it's just beggars belief. You've got Fred, who's played a strong 10 out of 10 against RB Leipzig and right centre mid, and then you come to Arsenal and then he switches his position with McTominay, who's just don't understand. Honestly, they played McTominay right centre mid and Fred DM. It's just for no reason whatsoever, which is why I get frustrated with Ole. It just seems like he flips a coin and just say, no, we're going to do this today. Just to finish, obviously, I know it's, you want to wrap up there. I got a question for both of you two, actually. Henry, if, you know, I'm assuming I know your answer anyways, but would you take a loss if it means Ollie's 110% going to get sacked? But if we win, he stays. That's the question.
Henry, do you want to go first? I'll go then. I think, as bad as it sounds, yes. If it meant if we had to sacrifice 3 points for the rest of the season being better, then I think it's a pretty worthwhile trade-off. As bad as it sounds, because obviously I love Ole and for what he did as a player, but as a manager, I think his race has been run, and I just don't see where or how he can possibly take us forward from this point. So, Henry.
James, I want to ask you something. Do you remember when, I think it was the podcast we had Mark on, do you remember when I said that I might have worded it wrong. I said, it would be good if we lost that game against Brighton, because I think Ole would have got dumped as a manager because we were playing so poorly. Yeah, we were playing so poorly. And I said that, and everyone laughed at me. Everyone laughed at me. And the funny thing is now, everyone has changed their attitude. Everyone's changed their attitude. And I don't hope we lose, but I said at the time it's more beneficial for the club and the fans if something like that happens. And I think, I don't ever want to say I want United to lose, but I think if we're in that same situation and we get beaten like 3 or 4-0 by Everton, I think that his time is done. So I won't be angry. I'll be annoyed if we don't sack him. Obviously, if we lose that game,
we lose 4-0 and he doesn't get sacked as well. That's honest. I will lose my shit.
Exactly. So you've got to have the kind of combo working perfectly. So I mean, yeah, I don't hope we lose, but I won't be too disappointed if we do and he's gone, because I think at this stage he's now tarnishing his reputation with the United fans. You know, we knew him as a legend before, and he'll leave with people saying how poor of a manager he was. And we won't forget, obviously, what he did in the Champions League and what he did for the club for so many years. But he's certainly not helping himself at the moment, and the fans are starting to turn. So I think it is time.
What about yourself then, as well?
Yeah, no, I've kind of had this conversation without the ultimatum. I don't want us to lose tomorrow at all, because I can't be dealing with us going into an international break starting 17th. Like, the amount of shit that we're going to take from rival fans. Like, we've already had enough as it is. You know, you mentioned the Brighton game. We won that game, but that was basically a loss in my eyes, because we got that. Look, I've never been humiliated. That was embarrassing. That Sonny March almost looked like prime Ryan Giggs, the amount of times he violated us at backstage. But I don't want us to lose, but if it is this ultimate, as I've dressed up as, we lose and he 100% gets sacked, then for the greater good of the club, it's one game. Just get Pochettino, for the love of God, please. I don't care if he wins, even just get Pochettino in, and then we just see where the season takes us. Really,
it's a small sacrifice. Small sacrifice for
the greater good.
Yeah, exactly. If he wins this, he'll be in for another 4 or 5 games, and
just to add, none of us are saying we want Manchester United to lose. It's only in that scenario that we would want Manchester United to lose, because it means it gets that before people start saying, "Look at these United fans wanting their club." No, we don't want that to happen. It's just a hypothetical. Don't worry.
Is what it is.
Fair enough. Well, on that note, we'll end it there then. Usmaan, thank you so much for joining us. It's been brilliant talking to you. Is there anything you wanna plug? I know you got your own channel going on, so if you want to talk about that, that's fine.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. Obviously, you guys having me on. Obviously, like I said already, I watch a lot of you guys' content. You know, you've had fantastic guests on lately, so I've been really impressed with obviously the channels and stuff. But just before obviously plug my own, I just want to say, first and foremost, make sure you drop a like on the video. It's free. And subscribe to the channel. They're trying to get to 100 subs. So make sure you do that first. That is the most important thing. It's free, okay? Come and support them. You know, they upload daily content or regular content nonetheless. And, you know, as a United fan myself, it's not easy to talk about Man United at the moment. It's very depressing. We don't love talking about us when we're losing as much as you think we do. So please just show them love first and foremost. Regarding myself, to be honest, it's just Usmaan Talks United on YouTube and Twitter. I'll follow Benji, because Benji's probably watching this and he'll be happy I shouted him out. So you can find us on Twitter or YouTube if you wish to join us. But make sure you subscribe to these guys.
Thank you, mate. Appreciate that. And Emery, thanks as ever for helping me out. And thank you everyone for watching. We'll see you next time.
See you next time.